What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm excited to have you here because this is going to be my top picks for New Comic Book Day, June the 30th of 2021. There's quite a few books coming out, but I was able to control myself a bit and cut it down to 8 books. So I'm excited to talk about those and why they're important to me. Before I ramble too long, don't forget to like and subscribe, comment, connect, follow. Do whatever you do on the platform you're on. Just look for my furry face inside of an orange circle and click all the buttons next to it. So the list isn't too long. Like I said, I trimmed it down to just 8 books that really I find it hard to let go of. And there's even a new number 1 in the mix. The first book on the list this week, Beta Ray Bill number 4. This is from Marvel. This is Daniel Warren Johnson. Honestly, I missed out on the 3rd issue. I do have it, but I didn't find time to read it for whatever reason. So I'll be reading up on number 3 this week, and that way I can jump right into number 4 as it drops. But so far, it's been an awesome journey with Beta Ray Bill himself as he goes out into the universe and tries to figure out like his own destiny, his own calling, and like find his own place in the world. And I think this is going to be really exciting down the road whenever things come back over into Thor, and maybe we can get a great event where we see Thor and the newly formed Beta Ray Bill kind of like team up and take on some evil and do some really cool just like metal things, you know. So I'm excited for Beta Ray Bill. Number 4 is out this week. Check it out. I've been on record saying that I don't really care for annuals, but Catwoman Annual 2021 is going to be out this week, and this is written by Ron V, who has been doing a stellar job on the Catwoman books in general. And then this annual is supposed to dig into the history of Father Valley, one of the new villains that's come along, and he's really giving the Rogues Gallery a run for their money. And so it'll be exciting to find out where he came from and like why he has all these weird proclivities. He kills in a certain way. He's very talented. He has a lot of like things that he hangs on to, a lot of like tokens and weird things about him as a psychopath, you know. So it'll be interesting to see where he developed a lot of these like habits and tics. Darling number 1. This is from Source Point Press. I heard Michael and Todd, the writers, on Cheers to Comics, and they were talking about the book, and it's an interesting book because it was basically born out of a need to get past some tragedy in Michael's life. His brother was a he was a substance abuse kind of addict, and he was very heavily involved in drugs, and he was a very charismatic type, but he was also a slave to his own vices, you know. And so I've known a lot of people like this in my life. I can think of 3 of them off the top of my head right now. So this is a story that interests me because while it's very heavy and very tragic, and it sounds like they kind of front-loaded the series, the first issue, with all of the emotional trappings that are really gonna bog you down. They kind of described that as being all in the first issue, so it gets out of the way, and then you can go on this journey with this guy who has kind of a superpower. I mean, these people are very good at convincing you that you should do things that are not always in your best interest. And like I said, I've known these types of people. They live very interesting lives, and whenever I was 20 years old, it was awesome to go hang out with these people. Nowadays, I would rather observe it, because it is like just a very interesting thing where you see people that could rule the world if they could just stop thinking about whatever it is that has them, and they could put that effort into some sort of good or positivity in the world. And so I'm excited for Darling number 1. I'm gonna check it out for sure. It definitely seems like an interesting story with a character that I can relate to, and I can follow through this story. The Department of Truth number 10. Big book. I mean, we are 10 issues deep in Department of Truth. I feel like it's consistently gotten better. There was a little bit of a I guess I kind of took like a little break there and did some lighter work, but overall the series itself has been absolutely wonderful, and I didn't hate those issues. I thought there was like some great stuff in there. They gave us a foundation, like a focal point, because the world is constantly evolving in this book, right? Every time that a mass majority of people, or maybe even less people than we realized at first, whenever they start to believe something, that becomes reality. And so when the world's constantly evolving around you, they gave us like this great like focal point of like, this is where everything starts, and this is where everything is pretty constant because the world around it is changing. So I felt like that was important once we got far enough into the series to keep people grounded, so you always know like what is real. So I thought that was great. And then to back that up with the history of the Department of Truth and where it came from, I think this is going to be pivotal in whatever they do with the TV show, because that's really, it's been optioned, and so people are kind of gambling on the option, but honestly, it's not going to be anything like this book. I think if it makes it to TV, if it does, the option works out, I think what you're going to see is something more in the vein of like X-Files and Men in Black, where you kind of have like this buddy cop thing going on. It might be real dark and serious, it might be a little more lighthearted, but it's going to be like a buddy cop, secret agent sort of thing, where they'll be going from house to house. They might deal in like the bureaucracy of running a Department of Truth, but I don't think we're gonna see Cole and Ruby and all of these characters and all this like crazy artistic style and stuff. I would gamble on it just being the concept. So I do think that issue is going to become important because it establishes what the Department of Truth is and when it was created and where it was created and why it was created. So overall, I'm enjoying the series. I really like that we've gotten back into some of the more conspiracy driven stuff, but again, I see like the necessity for some of those two middle issues there. So I'm excited to see where number 10 is going to take us now. We've met the man in the black cat. I think his name was Hawk, and or the man in the black chopper, the black helicopter, and he seems to have more power than anybody. We found out that Cole is more powerful than we realized, more powerful than even he realized, because he is able to like generate these conspiracies and ideas and stuff, and actually like I guess like fabricate them into the real world. So there's a lot going on in this series right now. It had an excellent start, and I'm really excited for where it's going now that we're on number 10. Undone by Blood, or The Other Side of Eden, number 4. I really loved the first series. Undone by Blood, Shadow of a Wanted Man, absolutely great little 5-part miniseries. I feel like The Other Side of Eden just like hit the ground running from there, and honestly, I've enjoyed it a little bit more. We still have Solomon, who is one of my favorite characters. I absolutely love the guy. I think he's he's a conflicted character, but he's also very capable, and so that makes him really awesome to follow. And then the stories that they're paralleling with his, the story that we're getting in Other Side of Eden here shows us a character that's very much coming into his own, but he needs to escape the world he's in, just like Solomon. Like, Solomon's stuck in Mexico and he wants to get back to the States. And then we're also watching this other character who has gotten mixed up with the wrong crew, and so he's on the run as well. And it's going to be interesting to see how both of these storylines wrap up. This is number 4. These seem to be 5-part series, so I think this is like the penultimate issue of this arc, but like I said, it's been phenomenal, so I'm excited to see how they start to wrap it up. We Only Find Them When They're Dead, number 7. I absolutely loved the first 5 issues of this story. It was a little slow, it was very decompressed, very metaphorical, a lot of show, not so much tell, and I really like that about a book. I appreciate a book that will make me think about what's going on in a positive way. Like, I don't want a book that makes me like flip through pages and try to figure out what was being portrayed. But something like We Only Find Them When They're Dead absolutely does not hold your hand. It drops you into this massive world full of humans and gods and everything else, and it just kind of like moves along, and you have to like sit down and digest this and think about it. I still haven't read number 6. Number 7 will be out this week though, so I'll be going back and getting caught up. This is another book. I think I picked this up at the same time as Beta Ray Bill, and that was a very busy week for me. So there's probably a couple of books here that I need to go back and reread and get caught up. I think Department of Truth number 9, kind of the same thing. I was just really busy that week. I didn't get to read a lot of those books, but I will be spending that time this week reading them because I'm very excited for all of them that are coming out next, including We Only Find Them When They're Dead, number 7. Wonder Girl number 2. This is Joëlle Jones. This series, it's only been one issue, but I really loved the first issue. I thought it was a great way to introduce Yara Flor to the universe, and like they stuck with Yara Flor. We didn't get any Wonder Woman or Wonder Girl stuff. No suit, no superpowers, just a young girl that's in search of her past and has a lot of questions, and she wants to understand the world and the way that she grew up. And so she goes back to Brazil. She's familiar with Brazilian culture because she was raised in a Brazilian household, but it's also something that was kind of kept from her. They didn't want her to fall into the trappings of Brazil, and so she grew up like this Brazilian American girl. But now she's old enough, she's had the opportunity to go back to Brazil, so she's very curious about the culture and getting into Brazil. And then she sees this flaming car, and this person needs to be saved, and while everybody else is just kind of like hanging back, she runs directly into danger to save this person. That's the spirit of a hero if I've ever seen it. I liked Yara Flor as a character, and then to see that she has like that internal drive to make the world a better place gives me trust and faith that things are going to turn out great. And so at the end of the issue, we kind of got a little teaser of her bolus and where that might be coming from, and how she's going to end up becoming Supergirl and getting all the powers and the costume and everything. So I'm excited for number 2 to pick up right there and show us what somebody who's already trying to make a difference in the world can do whenever they're given the opportunity. So it's been an exciting book. The last one I want to talk about though, Power Rangers Unlimited Edge of Darkness number 1. This is out from Boom Studios. Frank Gogol is writing it. It's his first like pro comics gig, and he's extremely excited about it because dude is a huge Power Rangers fan. I've been following him for quite some time. I've seen how often and how much he talks about Power Rangers. I've listened to like every podcast he's been on, which is quite a few, and Power Rangers almost always comes up. He's always teased different little pitches and ideas he's had for Rangers. So I think it's just a dream comes true to see Boom hand him the reins and let him have a story to tell within the Power Rangers universe. And it's going to be a different section of the universe. It's part of this Unlimited era, which means basically they're trying to expand out the universe. They're trying to make Power Rangers into more, and I'm really excited for that because I've long said, like, they give us these one-shot graphic novel books every now and then, and they're great, but they also seem to be completely separate from continuity. And when you have 2 series that, like, quite honestly at this point really aren't making much progress, it would be nice to have like these one-shots and these spin-offs, stuff like Power Rangers Unlimited, or even the Draken stuff. If that had been better handled, it would expand the universe out in meaningful ways and really give us a little more to attach ourselves to as fans. So I'm excited for Power Rangers Unlimited. I'm excited for Frank Gogol to get to write a Power Ranger story because I know his writing, and I kind of have an idea of what a Power Ranger story would be like from Frank Gogol, but this is going to be an exciting way to show us what it really is and kind of make that idea concrete. And hopefully it'll be great enough that it'll give us as fans someone to petition into a spot writing more full-time for Power Rangers. So I'm excited for Power Rangers Unlimited Edge of Darkness. I know Frank Gogol's excited. I know a lot of the people that I talk with are pretty excited, and I can't wait to read it and find out more. So that's the list for this week. Like I said, kind of short, only 8 books. I'm really excited for all of them. I'm expecting to check them all out, and I think there's going to be a lot of good stuff coming out this week. If I had to pick top 3, I mean, honestly, just looking across the list real quick, I'm definitely Power Rangers Unlimited Edge of Darkness number 1. That's been on my list for a long time. Beta Ray Bill number 4. I love everything that Daniel Warren Johnson does, so that's a no-brainer. And then probably Undone by Blood, The Other Side of Eden number 4, just because this is like the penultimate issue. The first 3 issues built up really well toward where we're headed. I would expect the first half of issue 4 to kind of continue that progression. Then we're gonna flip it and start to wrap things up. And based on, honestly, like Undone by Blood, the first arc, the first 5 issues, those were good, but they didn't really have me hooked. I was a little concerned for where it was gonna go, but they actually crafted a great ending that hooked me, like right there at the end. At the end, I was like, okay, this is a great series. Like, a lot of people missed the ending. That one actually had a better ending than some of the story, if you ask me. So I'm really excited for The Other Side of Eden to see how they wrap this up, because if this is a thing, if these guys can keep making a book that actually has a really good ending, that's actually something pretty rare in this industry, and I think they'll have a long way, or a long career ahead of them. So Other Side of Eden number 4 is going to be my 3rd pick for this week. What books are you excited for? What are you going to be reading? What's on the top of that stack? Please let me know in the comments below. Feel free to reach out to me on social media. You can find me on League of Comic Geeks. You can find me on Patreon, and you can rate and review the show and the content on podchaser.com. So check out all those sources. There's plenty of links in the description. And again, let me know, what books are you most excited for this week? Has anybody else heard about Darling, and are you going to be checking it out? Let me know. Until next time, keep flipping pages.
You